Welcome to the webinar. Welcome to the Make Recovery a Priority webinar. My name is Toby Morrison. For those of you who don't know me, basically suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome for a fair few years as a teenager, quite severely. Long story short, got better over time, tried a million different things, lots of it didn't work. There was no quick fix cure that I was wishing for a long time. Took recovery into my own hands. Over a period of a couple of years, I eventually recovered. And then it was my passion and my goal to make sure that no one else had to go through the suffering that I did alone. And that's why I'm here today, 10 years later, still helping people from all around the world and really just getting to see people make changes to themselves for the better, which is just brilliant. Two reasons why we're here tonight. The first reason is actually something that happens naturally, but more importantly tonight than ever is connection. Obviously, we're all kind of going through a bit of a weird time at the moment with what's happening around the world, this thing called isolation, which is a bit of a strange concept. And I'm sure many of you are used to that to a degree. You know, you're kind of used to being indoors, you're used to your own confinement. But I'm sure this has added an extra bit of pressure to your life. And so myself, mindset coach Gemma Hanley and Dr. Olivia Lesslar decided to come together to really, one, for all of us to connect with each other, especially all you guys in the room. We had something like 350 people register within like 2 days. So I think now more than ever, this connection and just a little bit of interaction and face-to-face value is so important. And sometimes right now, probably more important than we realize until we probably get off this call. So it's my hope for you that you feel connected in this call, that you get a lot out of it. This isn't just an information webinar. This is an interactive webinar. So you're going to use the comments section below. You'll see the chat bar to interact with us. And to get us started, basically what I want you to do is just let us know where you're from. We've just got so many people here. So just comment below in the chat box. Let us know where you're from. Yorkshire, Sweden. You guys can see the comments too. I don't have to read them all out. Cornwall, New Zealand, London, Brighton, Sweden, Norway, Essex. Oh my God. Have a look at the comments, guys. Singapore, New York, Edinburgh, lots of people from UK. We've got Dubai. Wow, New Zealand. Cool. Perth, hey Carly, good to see you. Sydney, Stockholm. Stockholm's one of my favourite cities in the world. Absolutely love visiting Stockholm. Kamari, good to see you on. Good to see a lot of our members on as well.
Hello.
It's really nice that you guys can jump on here as well and get something out of this. It's going to be really special. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Now, one thing I do want you guys to comment in before we get started, just so we all kind of are realizing that we're probably kind of similar. How are you feeling right now? Like for you, what's coming up? Is there, what do you want to get out of this webinar? Is there something that you've been struggling with that you need help with? Just comment in the box below, just kind of why you're here or what you're struggling with. Just so, one, a problem shared is a problem halved. And two, I just want you guys to realize that a lot of you guys, you're all going through the same stuff. If you have a look, it's going to be a bit hard, but we've got, how to deal with anxiety, ways to calm down and get out of fear response. Good. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about in this webinar tonight. Making progress. Jenna Bryan says total overwhelm. Welcome to the party, my friend. Feeling overwhelmed. That's the next one. Anxiety, stress, exhaustion. Boundaries in general. Brain fog, vision issues. Pacing, physical pain, fear of being too old to recover. That's an interesting one. And we're going to help you as much as we can in this 1 hour presentation to really give you some takeaways for yourself to actually apply in your life straight away. This isn't just an information webinar, so please make sure you do have a pen and notepad handy. That's what I always say to my members when we do our calls. You'll get a bit more out of it, and you'll be able to have something to take away for you. Obviously, you don't need to write everything. Like, don't feel obliged to like sit there. You know, take it in. But if anything kind of comes to you and you're like, oh, like that's an aha moment, write it down. If you relate to it, write it down. And if you don't, that's totally fine too. You know, if you just want to sit back and chill, that's totally fine. Hold all your questions till the end. We're going to do something a little bit different at the end tonight. And if you need to leave early, that's totally fine. I understand. We will send out a recording for you, but obviously this interaction is really valuable and I want you to be a part of it. And so my ask for you, my ask for you guys to do me a favor is just to be here fully present, you know, no distractions, and really just, you know, show your attention to either myself, Gemma, or Dr. Olivia, just so you get the most out of it. You know, that's my favour ask from me to you. And now, guys, if you see below like all these comments, I hope it's just letting your shoulders drop a little bit, because a lot of you guys are feeling the same things, and sometimes that in itself is kind of just like nice and reassuring. Yeah. I mean, one of the things Portia said, worrying that my ME makes us more susceptible to severe corona. I have just had corona for 1 month and now ME is a lot worse again. Yeah, of course, because your body's fighting a virus as well. So we're going to give you some tools, tips and strategies to really help you build your immune system, calm that stress response, calm your nervous system, calm your mind, get back on track, and really just make the most of this time. Whether you're in a really bad spot right now, whether you're in an okay spot, or whether you're going really good or you just want to get back on track. It's, you know, this is kind of a holistic approach and a holistic webinar no matter where you're at. So I'm sure we'll be able to help you. So how this is going to work, what we're going to do is we're going to do, firstly, a mindset presentation with Gemma Hanley. Now, a quick intro to Gemma. She had chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, severe anxiety, you know, everything, depression. She's kind of went through it all, as I'm sure you guys have experienced too. And she did a bunch of things. She suffered for a long time. She was actually a past member of mine years and years and years ago. She's gone on to train in mindset and just done some amazing things. And now she's helping people basically, you know, on their journey to better health too. And so I wanted her to start with the talk first, because I think right now more than ever, our mindset is really, really the key in terms of what holds everything together. You know, with all this stress going on and all this media attention and kind of where our focus is at, we really need to turn inwards and we really need to focus on ourselves. And we need to just do things that work for us. And that starts with our mindset first, and then obviously, you know, goes into our body, right? So we're going to have a chat with Gemma first. Then after that, Dr. Olivia is going to come on. She's going to talk about how to have better sleep, better quality sleep, and how to improve and boost your immune system in this time. She's amazing. She's one of the best doctors I've ever met in terms of compassion and understanding for CFS. So I'm really looking forward for you guys to meeting her. Hey, Hill. And then, yeah, we're going to finish up. We'll get to some questions at the end. If we can't, like I said, hold your questions till the end. We'll see how we go for time. If we can't get to them, we're going to do something a little bit different with them. And yeah, hopefully help a lot of you who are needing it. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to get Gemma Hanley on for a little chat about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Over to you, Gemma.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So nice to all be here together and to have so
you.
many cameras on everyone. You can or you can't hear me?
I can't, let's see.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Gemma. Cool.
Great.
There we go.
Welcome everyone. It's so nice to all be here in one group and see so many faces together. I just think, you know, with my own experience through chronic fatigue and anxiety and depression, connection and love and support were just enormous. So making the most of these types of environments right now, always, but particularly right now, is just incredibly powerful. So in my opinion, I think probably the most important and the most impactful thing we can actually have a conversation around tonight is the mindset that sets you up for success in all areas of your life. Yeah. So not just health, it definitely applies to health, but all areas of your life, because, you know, through my own lessons with this illness, and through my own experience working with lots of clients, something I've found and learnt to be absolutely true is that it actually doesn't matter how high quality your strategy or your approach or your plan is to get to an outcome. If your mindset is not on board with that, the wheels are going to fall off. Yeah. So you could be working with the most incredible practitioner. You could have a phenomenal intention behind everything that you're doing. You could be extremely clear on exactly where you want to go and exactly where you want to head. But without our mindset on board, moving in that direction as well, the wheels can just fall off. And when that happens, you know, that can damage our belief and it can damage our hope. It can start to chip away at those things. And when that happens, you know, we have more of these experiences of self-doubt, frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, feeling stuck. Yeah, all of those emotional states that don't move us towards where we want to go. So I'm very passionate about having the right mindset on board before, you know, we invest in any strategy or any plan, because then we're setting ourselves up for success, which is essentially the mindset we're going to cross off on and run through tonight. So, you know, when we're wanting to create that meaningful and long-lasting change in our life, it's so important that we do so from a place of self-empowerment and personal responsibility. They can seem like really big words and really big concepts, but everything to do with mindset, from my experience, whilst it can feel overwhelming or whilst it can feel complicated, in practice, we can actually make it really simple if we know what we're talking about and if we have the prompts that we need. So I'm going to move through two different mindset techniques with you now. And both of these you're actually going to be able to use on your own. You don't need a coach. And you can use them immediately as soon as you jump off this session as well. And they're techniques that I use as well. So everything I teach is something that I implement or have used in my life too. So the first one is where I prompt you to consider whether you're choosing curiosity over conclusion. So I'm going to get you to write that down now. So grab your pen, grab your paper, and I want you to write curiosity over conclusion. I can just see in the comments someone's written here, I can't hear you. So if you've got a sec, can you just tap into the comments and make sure you can let us know that you can hear me okay? Great. Otherwise, it's not going to be so useful. Cool. I'm getting lots of yeses, so that's great. Thank you, guys. So you've probably all got written down now, curiosity over conclusion. And you might be thinking, great, but what does this actually even mean for me? So I'm going to move through some examples of exactly what that looks like, because the questions that come with this are, am I choosing a mindset of curiosity here? Am I choosing to be curious? Or am I choosing a mindset of conclusion? Am I being conclusive right here? So when I'm someone who's being curious, I will be somebody who is very open-minded. Yeah, I'll be open to hearing and exploring some different perspectives, different opinions, some alternative options. Now, I'm not saying that I will agree with all of those, but I am open and willing to explore them and then choose whether they're true and right for me. When I'm someone who's been curious, I'm always also someone who is using a creative mindset. I'm being very creative with my thinking. So if I know what my outcome is, I might be thinking, okay, this could be one approach. This might be another approach. It might take a little bit of this. And actually, you know what? There might actually be an approach that needs to come into the mix at a later stage that I'm not aware of just yet. Yeah. Which takes me to another trait of someone who's using a curious mindset, which is they're not fixated. They're not someone who's requiring all of the information and all of the facts right now to move forwards. So when we're being curious, we're okay with the information that we have. And we're okay with trusting ourselves and checking in with what feels good for us, and then making a decision on that basis to take one step forward. And then we trust in that process of just taking that one step forward. Because when we do that, we know that new information becomes available to us. When we stay where we are, nothing changes. So there's no new information, which means we also stay stuck and we can't move forwards. Yeah. So when we're being curious, we're okay with checking in. We're okay with making decisions with the information we have. And we know that what we need will begin to appear. The other component of a curious mindset is we know that we can create the opportunities that are required to get to the outcome that we want. And we actually know we're the only ones that can create those opportunities, because we're the only ones that can choose those opportunities as well. Cool. How are you going with that? Does that make sense? Are you understanding? Just let me know in the comments.
Can I ask something, Gemma?
Yes.
So I noticed in the comments at the start a lot of, everyone in the world is basically freaking out about, getting sick with corona. Like, what if I get it? Or, is it going to be worse because I've got chronic fatigue syndrome? I feel like that's a big fear for a lot of you guys on the call, right? Does this work for that? Like, is it, like just calming that mindset down by going, well, how's it serving me anyway?
I can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to get to that for sure. And absolutely, this can work for that. Yeah. I'm just going to check. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Perfect. Awesome. Love it. So if we talk about the flip side of that, then, if we're someone who is being conclusive or coming from a place of conclusion, a mindset of conclusion, if I'm in that space, I'll be someone who is quite closed-minded, and I'll be inflexible in my thinking. Yeah, I won't be prepared to even consider alternatives. When I'm conclusive, I'll be someone who's very attached and fixated on achieving my outcome in this one set lane that at some point I thought was the best for me, and I will not be willing
All right. Looks like it's frozen. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep, cool. Hopefully we'll get her back. Thanks, Liv. Oh,
Yeah.
you're back?
I'm not sure what happened.
Okay, 1 second. There you are. There you are.
Got it?
We're back.
Cool. Joys of technology. So I was talking about...
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I was talking about when I'm in a space of conclusion. So I will be someone who's attached or quite fixated on how I'm going to get to that outcome. Yeah, so I'll be staying in the one lane and I won't be prepared to check or to look or to make any tweaks or revisions that could actually allow the process to become more efficient or more enjoyable. Yeah. When I'm participating with life through a conclusive mindset, or when I'm being conclusive, I'll also be someone who is drawing all of these assumptions about how things are going to go without even actually trying them. And those assumptions that I'm drawing will generally be quite negative. This won't work for me because I'm different because. And, you know, a lot of that will definitely sit in a negative space, yeah. And another part of that can be, you know, this idea or this feeling that we're completely misunderstood and separate from an experience that lots of other people are having as well. So like a disconnection. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I'm just adjusting my screen a little bit because everything just went a little bit haywire.
Everyone, I can read the comments. Amazing, yes, very good, spot on.
Cool, I'm just getting the comments back. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, you know, to sum up the conclusive side of it, or if I'm coming from a place of conclusion, I'm basically not willing to try anything new. I won't be willing to step out of that comfort zone. But I guess probably an even better way to give you a working example is to talk to you a bit about, you know, upon reflection, what that was like for me when I was going through, you know, the very early stages of recovery with chronic fatigue and anxiety and depression. Can you still hear me, Tobes?
Yeah.
Cool. So, you know, at the beginning when I was completely housebound, I was really struggling. I couldn't work. I couldn't care for myself. I remember I was living with my dad in China and we were living, you know, barely anyone spoke English. I think I met 3 people that spoke English. And we were living in this apartment building. And when I began to be able to leave the home, I needed a wheelchair. He needed to push me in a wheelchair. And, you know, there'd be some days where I felt strong enough that I'd be able to sit up in that and I could go out for, you know, 30 minutes or an hour. And I have such a vivid memory at one point of where, you know, we were walking out of the apartment building and, you know, we started walking across the road. And for where I was living, to get across the road from where I lived was 8 lanes of traffic. And I just remember looking down, you know, at the asphalt as Dad pushed me along and thinking, like, I can't even walk across 8 lanes of traffic. How am I ever going to be independent again? Like, it just felt like too much of a gap, like way too far away. And, you know, some of the thinking I had there that was going along with that in my mind was, you know, this is too hard. I don't even know where to start. You know, there's nothing I can really do to impact this. My situation's so different. Yeah, like I don't know anyone else that's going through the exact same situation as me. It's more difficult for me. This is going to take so long and it's going to be so painful. No one understands what I'm going through right now. No one understands me. And, you know, it certainly wasn't in that moment that I had the epiphany that it was a conclusive mindset. And by the way, guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that some of these thoughts that you come up with around a conclusive mindset won't come true or don't come true. But what I can tell you is that in the moment when we're having those thoughts, they are not yet true. And for a heavy majority of those, they don't become true until we choose that to be the case, or we choose that we're not going to explore alternatives any further. But yeah, so it wasn't in that moment that I had the epiphany that it was a conclusive mindset. But I remember it wasn't too long after, and I was back home and sitting in bed. And I just thought, well, what can I do about this? Yeah, I can't walk across 8 lanes of traffic, and I certainly can't walk quick enough to get across there before the light flicker finishes and the traffic starts again. But what can I do? And that's, where I created that shift from being conclusive to curious and use creative thinking. Yeah. So how can I begin to walk a little bit? What are the different things I can do to support myself to grow how far I'm walking? Where is it that I want to go once I get over those 8 lanes of traffic? Yeah, what's the bigger picture here? How can I connect meaning to this for me? A bigger vision. So I just thought that might be helpful to share a story from, my personal experience of how I was able to identify that and shift it as well. The second technique, which is really, it's very similar, it's just a different wording, and one of these 2 examples will resonate more with you. Take what feels good, leave what doesn't. The second way, which Toby touched on before and asked me that question, is this serving me? Or is this limiting me? So this thought that I'm having, is this serving me? Is this helping me? Is it strengthening me? Is it empowering me? Is it moving me where I want to go? Or is it limiting me? Is it stopping me? Is it preventing me? Is it holding me back? Is it keeping me small? Is it producing self-doubt, anxiety, fear, guilt? I can go on and on and on. But those 2 questions, am I being curious or am I being conclusive? And is this serving me or is this limiting me? Just incredible in cutting through your thoughts. And, when you're willing to be very honest with the answer there, really just opens up information for you to begin to work with as well. How is that sitting with everyone? Are you understanding it, and can you resonate with that when you're having that experience of a conclusive mindset or a limiting mindset? Cool, great. Yep.
Is it serving me or limiting me?
God, it's moving so fast. Bryony, what is it? Is it serving me or is it limiting me?
This is brilliant.
Cool.
This is so good because, I can, even me, walking down the street and everyone's 1 meter away, and if you touch someone or if someone coughs, you think, oh my God, what if I catch the virus, And in that moment of going, is it limiting me or is it serving me? It's well, it doesn't really matter anyway, because all I can do is control my controllables. And the mindset of oh my God, what if I'm sick, or what if I get the virus, or is it going to make it worse because I've got chronic fatigue? These are the questions that you might be asking yourself at home right now. You can use this straight away, right now in this moment. And how much better can you feel if it is, well, all right, it's not serving me, so I'm not going to keep doing that. There's no point. And then instantly your immune system's going to feel better. You're going to have a lot more calmer energy. And even if you do get sick, it won't be as big a problem. Yes.
For sure, because our mindset has a direct impact on our central nervous system. And it's either going to speed up the sympathetic nervous system, which, is more of that fight or flight, or it's going to enable us to access the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest, digest, repair. And that's, spending time there is where we boost our immunity and support our immunity. So this directly links into and you can control it. Were you going to say something else?
No, amazing. I'm loving it. Everyone, I'm just reading the comments.
Cool. The only other thing I was going to touch on, which I thought, is really good to have an understanding of, is around pain points and uncomfortable emotion. Use this technique with that as well. So when we're able to identify pain points in our life, so something that doesn't feel good, something that we're not so happy about, or when we're having an experience of an undesired emotion, or an emotion that feels unbearable. So it might be the overwhelm or the anxiety or the panic or the fear. Those emotions are actually there as meaningful and intelligent messengers from our body. They're asking us to pay loving attention to something. So in that moment, we can choose to be conclusive or limiting by labeling it as bad, seeing it as something that's in the way, that's preventing us from getting where we want to be. Or we can get curious about, well, what is that message? What is this emotion here to teach me? What's it asking me to pay attention to? And use that curious mindset and work with it rather than work against it as well. But to recap those questions, the first one was, am I choosing curiosity or am I choosing conclusion? And the second was, is this serving me or is this limiting me?
Brilliant.
Yeah. I just think it's such a powerful foundational mindset for everyone to start with, which just goes back to what I said at the start. It doesn't matter, what your approach is if you don't have the right mindset behind that approach.
Kate just comments, and we're not going to answer any actual personal questions, but this is going to be a perfect recap example of what Gemma's just been talking about. How do you not beat yourself up when you can't stay in the best mindset for your recovery? This is perfect. Is it serving you to beat yourself up? Like, how's that working out for you? Yeah. Have some compassion, like the stuff that Gemma teaches. I know you do a lot of work with our members, and, there's a huge one that you harp on is non-judgmental awareness, right? It's just like, yeah, it's normal. You're not going to be the best mindset every single day of the week. Like, I mean, that expectation is almost impossible to hold, right? So, yeah, if you're feeling it,
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's unrealistic and not appropriate. And as Gemma said, it's like, beat yourself up for a little bit. We all do it. We're human, and then finally get to the point, whether it's 3 minutes or 3 hours or 3 days, and then you go, is this actually really, like, how's it working out for me? Not that great.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, amazing.
And that's a choice too.
Yeah, wow, cool. Really, really powerful. Thanks, Gemma. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you want to just kind of let Gemma know how that was for you and what you kind of got from that, feel free to comment below while we get Dr. Olivia to join. Wow. Hey, Bryony. Like I said, we're not going to answer any specific questions, but Gemma just pretty much just told you how to do it. This is the method. It's as simple and as hard as that. And sometimes the simplest things are not necessarily the easiest things to apply. So really, like, listen in, learn from others in the group, learn from all these other people commenting as well. But as Gemma said, it comes down to a choice. And yes, it's hard, but the choice is, well, do I want to, as I think it was Katie mentioned before, like, yeah, she's beating herself up sometimes when she's not in a good mindset. And I really appreciate you sharing that vulnerability with us all, because we're all doing that sometimes. Like, it's part of the human condition. It's normal to, like, beat yourself up. But the question, one of my members yesterday, I said, how's that working out for you being angry at yourself? You've kind of just got to laugh at it in a way, yeah, awesome. Wow, there's like 100 million comments here for you.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Gemma. Amazing. All right, cool, guys. That was our first host. I told you she was going to be amazing. She's a breath of fresh air. Yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah. Orna says, as Dr. Phil says, and how's that working out for you? Yeah, exactly, in his American voice. Cool. Guys, really powerful stuff. And this is stuff for you guys to apply right now. It doesn't matter what it's with. It's in a relationship, it's with your health, if it's with the current climate, what's going on. I noticed myself getting really caught up in some stuff the other day on Facebook, and I'm reading stuff and going down rabbit holes. And then I spoke to my coach, and he said, well, what do you want to do about it? I said, well, I just need to delete Facebook off my phone. And so I did instantly. And gone. Like, the worry is just gone. I just haven't felt any worry or anxiety about anything that's unnecessary right now. So sometimes, like Gemma said, as hard as it is, it's a choice. And, you know, making that split decision is going to be really, really helpful for you. Cool. Amazing. All right. Next guest, we are going to bring in Dr. Olivia. Let's see if we can get her on. Here she is, the beautiful Dr. Olivia. Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you really well. So, guys, Dr. Olivia is going to talk a little bit about, you know, getting quality sleep, boosting your immune system, and just all things kind of, you know, boosting your health right now. But to give you some background, Dr. Olivia has a strong interest in chronic disease, and you guys, hopefully, a lot of you have been following me for years, and I haven't really come across a huge amount of doctors who have a level of compassion, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom as Dr. Olivia does. And she's only really got 20 minutes to talk, and she's someone who could talk for hours on these kind of subjects. But I'll kind of let her take over and just kind of, yeah, maybe just kind of share an introduction and I guess your empathy towards, you know, everyone going through what they're going through right now.
Okay, thank you everyone for having me. The first thing I'm going to do right now actually is to just take a pause, because you guys have been on for about 40 minutes now, and you've heard a lot already, really great stuff from Gemma. So I just want you to all reset. I'm going to be talking about sleep, and I could talk for hours on this, and I'm going to really try to pare it back, and I'm going to hold myself back from talking too fast, because that's a problem for me as well. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, well, a couple of seconds here, just to take a deep breath. Everybody just reset, and then we're going to jump into it, okay?
Yeah, great point. And guys, don't feel stressed if you can't take all the knowledge in, because it is quite a lot, you're right. We will send out the recording for all you guys who are on it as well. So you're not going to, you know, you can go over this later on. Yeah, so, you know, just breathe it in, as Liv said, breathe it all in, get it. But don't worry if you don't get it all, you know, like, let's just enjoy what we've got, yeah?
Okie dokie.
Cool.
If I speak too fast, please let me know, and I will slow down. Okay. So my name is Dr. Olivia Lesslar. I have been doing general medicine for a few years now in Australia, and I currently work in LA, but I am back in Australia because I came back to pack some stuff for the US, and then I couldn't leave. Anyway, I have had an interest in chronic complex illnesses for quite a while. My mother suffered from breast cancer and passed away when I was 17. So I've always had an appreciation for that kind of life where you're burdened down a lot with your disease, and as well, you know that your family are also you, and sometimes I think that you guys, you take on a little bit too much, where you're worrying about everyone else as well as the fact that you're suffering. I'm sorry as well that some of you, many of you, have not found the empathy or the strength in a medical practitioner, and I apologize on behalf of the medical fraternity. But more often than not, I think it's because it is so complex and it's had a bit of a runaround. Doctors do try, doctors do care. Sometimes they just can't admit that they don't know. So I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm not here to be a self-professed expert. I do enjoy the research, and I'm very happy to do the research for you. And I will try to be that bridge between what's happening in the lab and what we can do in clinic. But most importantly, and Toby and Gemma have spoken about this already, it's compassion. You really do have to make sure that you are expressing compassion or having compassion for yourself, because you're going through a very hard time and have done for many years, some of you, and will do for many years. So you really just need to make sure that you are being kind to yourself, because if the people with all the letters after their name don't know what's happening or trying to figure out this puzzle, you know, who's to expect you to bounce straight back, get a good night's sleep or anything like that? It's all rubbish. All right, so just take some time. So I just wanted to find out first how many of you are actually experiencing, not just in this COVID time, but in general, how many of you are experiencing sleep difficulties, whether it's having a difficulty getting to sleep, staying asleep, not getting up at a time you want to get up at, having very unsociable hours. Yeah, okay. A lot of you are.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I'm sure that many of you have been on forums and all the rest of it. This is very common for ME/CFS. There is a difference between fatigue, exhaustion, and sleepiness. What you're experiencing is not sleepiness. Okay, so sleepiness is usually a function of a chemical called adenosine, which is rising in our body, thus making us want to sleep. That can be part of the issue here, but your exhaustion is because you're not able to sustain that energy output. And the fatigue is multifactorial, but don't be upset when people say to you, oh, you just need a good night's sleep, because they do mean well. But you are definitely understood by at least the scientists looking into this. It is not just sleepiness, it is definitely fatigue. A lot of ME/CFS patients have what is called a delayed sleep phase disorder. And essentially, it's where you are going to sleep and waking up from sleep at hours which are not socially acceptable. So not only are you having difficulties falling asleep, staying asleep, but you also wind up sleeping for long periods of time, and it's not refreshing. You are not alone. There is going to be some aspect of this where, to be honest with you, the delayed sleep phase disorder is also partly because when you are awake, when everybody else is awake, sometimes it can be exhausting to be around other people who are talking to you, talking at you, trying to get you to participate in a way that you can't participate. And it's actually, in part, your body trying to protect yourself. Okay, so congratulate yourself on that one. I think that because there's so much to sleep, we really do need to get back to fundamentals, to absolute basics. Okay, I think most of you have heard of sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene, hang on, let me just let someone in. Okay. So sleep hygiene, oh, hang on. Ella says that she's been working on sleep hygiene for a few years. Great. She's got a sleep time set, no electronics in her room, not doing anything in bed other than sleep, and hasn't found it to be a major help. Okay, great. And I know that many of you are already practicing this, which is fantastic. So how about I just go through some basics on sleep hygiene? And more importantly, to give you the why of sleep hygiene, because you can actually extrapolate from the why to increase the toolbox of sleep hygiene. So we think most of us know that sleep hygiene is directly related to the circadian rhythm. In other words, when the sun is up, that's when we're meant to be up. When the sun is down, that's when we're meant to sleep. Super basic. But what about the sun is meant to keep us awake? It's blue light. So blue light is a wavelength of light that comes from the sun, as well as negative electrons in the wavelength. I'll explain a little bit later why that's important. So if we know that sunlight is blue light, what it does in our body is that it stops melatonin secretion. In other words, if we are committed to trying to get to the basics of hygiene, we actually have to not expose ourselves to any blue light or very little blue light after dark. So that's our computer screens, our phones, our light. The reason why so many of our lights now have that blue light wavelength in them is because it's economical. They actually had a study where they took people out into the desert, and everybody's circadian rhythm actually wound up changing so that they felt super tired when the sun started to go down. So that is definitely one thing that we can be doing, all of us, those of us without ME/CFS and those with, is to absolutely limit the blue light exposure after dark. The reason why blue light is so detrimental is because it stops a pineal gland here from releasing melatonin. Now, they say that generally speaking, it should be about 4 hours before you want to sleep that you should limit blue light. And if you have no choice but to be exposed to blue light, you can buy blue light glasses, which will help. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when the sun is up, it's warm. And when the sun goes down, it's cold. There is a temperature, an evolutionary temperature switch, which is actually a biohack that some people are using. Essentially, it's this. Everybody tends to have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea in the morning, but there's actually been evidence to show that part of the reason why that works in waking us up is because of the heat. It increases our core temperature, which wakes us up. A biohack that we use is that in the evening, before bed, we actually have a warm shower or a hot bath. What we're doing is we're artificially raising our temperature so that when we then go under cold water, cold shower, or we step out of the bath into the cold surroundings, our temperature starts to plummet. And that switch between hot and cold, that is an evolutionary temperature switch. It actually signals to your body that it's time to sleep. So that's something you can consider. There is a self-biohacking NASA scientist called Ray Cronise, who actually has this system where he goes 10 seconds of hot, this is in the shower, 10 seconds of hot, 10 seconds of cold, 10 seconds of hot, 10 seconds of cold, and it ends on cold. Now he goes through quite a few cycles, but I've tried it and it's kind of a waste of water. So I only do two, I only do 2 or 3 cycles, but I have found better sleep when I do it. Make sure that you end on cold if possible, if you're going to try that ancestral switch. That saying, when you wake up, try to, it's called, Jane Jackson says, why do I love my electric blanket when I go to bed? So that's a really good question, because we've actually been conditioned in society to use a warm duvet. So if you go to the third world, you'll actually find that people don't use thick duvets. I grew up in Singapore, and people will put their air conditioner to 18 degrees and have a warm duvet on them. I don't know about going back to the roots of all this. However, essentially, there is a phenomenon that we see where we actually stick our foot out from under the duvet. Have you guys done this?
Yep.
Do you do that? Yeah. And what we're doing is that we're actually trying to trick our brain into thinking that we are cooler than we are, because melatonin, interestingly enough, drops your body temperature by anywhere between 0.5 and 2 degrees, which is why the ideal temperature to sleep in is about 22, 23 degrees, something like that. And when we are too warm, we feel that snuggly kind of feeling, which I'll admit, I love that too, right? You feel like that, and then your body starts to get a little bit warmer, and then you stick your foot out because you're trying to trick your brain. So like a lot of things that are culturally drummed into us, or that is just a force of habit, whether it's cultural or our family or whatever, knowing the science actually helps you to take control. So in other words, if you now know that generally speaking, your body needs to have its core temperature dropped ever so slightly as part of an ancestral thing whereby the sun has set, and generally speaking, everything is that much cooler as a proportion or as a ratio today, then, and you're used to sleeping under a doona or having the radiator on or anything like that, that's fine. But just slowly start changing your habits, just to try and give your body the best chance it can to get that little bit better sleep.
Can I butt in for 1 second too?
Yeah.
For the guys who are a little bit more severe and like you're a lot more sensitive to things, exactly what Liv said, like you don't have to go all in, just like little changes, so don't like throw yourself under the fully cold water and like give that body a shot. Just like ease into it a little bit if you're feeling a bit more sensitive. You don't. I think a lot of people on this call are all or nothing people. So just like ease into it, guys. You don't have to like go full ball straight away.
Yeah. So it basically, if any of you are caught sleeping out in the snow and you said, Dr. Olivia said so, I will say I never saw you, don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about part of the sleep routine as being trying to stay away from blue light, using an evolutionary temperature switch, trying to be cool or cooler at night. And to be fair, I'm looking at my notes now and I've got about 3 more pages of sleep. So that's why I was saying to Toby that I need to just have this massive workshop, over a few weeks on sleep. There is, I guess, one more thing that I should mention. So a lot of you, and when I suffered depression, I have been in bed for days at a time. Okay, there is something called grounding or earthing. So grounding and earthing is a process of putting your bare skin on earth, whether it's sand, rock, mud, soil, grass. There is really good research to show that when you ground, you actually decrease inflammation. And we know that ME CFS is characterized by neuroinflammation. The important thing here is that a lot of people who are lying in bed day in, day out, not getting any earthing at all. They're not able to essentially reset the bioelectricity of their brain, of their body, because we're as monkeys, we would have been sleeping in tree boughs or on grass. So again, not asking you to go out and sleep in the cold, but my point here is that if and when you can, during the day, One, it's called daylight anchoring. First thing that you do when you wake up, expose yourself to blue light. Expose yourself to blue light. You have to start retraining the brain that it is daytime. I am meant to be awake. I will be awake. And you approach it with a sense of curiosity, right, Gemma? So,
yes.
blue light or daylight anchoring is the first thing that you should be doing. Yes, I do agree that blackout blinds, oh, no, so blackout blinds are fantastic at night, obviously, but when you are meant to be awake, they come right back. So blackout blinds are a fantastic way to essentially mimic nature. Dark at night, bright in the morning. So you get up, open those windows, open those blinds, and get some daylight anchoring, because you're going to have to slowly retrain your brain. That's the first thing. Second, go out into the sun. Your skin needs to feel sunlight because it actually has what are called the photoreceptors, or melanopsins in the skin. It actually, if you took skin cells and put it into a petri dish, your skin cells know if it's day or night just based on the fact that it can sense UV light. So go out into the sun, make it a double whammy, right? You've got your daylight anchoring, you've got your grounding, you've got your skin getting a little bit of a taste of what you are trying to foster is about. And little things like that are going to help you reset your circadian rhythm and get you away from that delayed sleep phase disorder. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but it can actually make a massive difference. And trying to implement just these 3 or 4 things will take a while, and that's okay, right? It took me forever. I used to be a bit of a night owl, and I thought that, oh, that's my chronotype, I'm a night owl. No, actually, I was on Facebook till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, so that was my fault. Anyway, I think you've heard enough from me, but yeah, I hope that you got something out of that. Oh, someone said about grounding. Can you give? I'll just give one more. I'll give another example of grounding.
Yeah.
In 2017, there was a paper which actually showed a pediatric ICU. And as you know, in an ICU crib, these babies, these premature babies are there, and they have got no access to ground at all. And they actually did an experiment where they put electrodes on the baby's skin and then ran a grounding element down so that it was grounding through the electrical outlet. And it increased the vagal tone of the preterm babies by doing that. I thought that was exciting. Okay.
There's a lot of things. There's like literally 100 people's faces like, really? That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very, very happy to provide all references. Of course, nothing I say is not backed up by peer-reviewed papers. Absolutely, I'm not making my own shit up. But I know that a lot of this does take time to translate from studies down into clinical practice. But you know, especially there's no harm to go out and have your feet in the grass. Do try that during the day, okay? As part of a new routine. Oh, what is vagal tone? Sorry. Okay. So vagal tone is how well your vagus nerve is able to fluctuate. It's related to heart rate variability, i.e., your body's ability to handle stress. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You're getting some really beautiful comments. Guys, show some love for Olivia in the comments. Let us know what was the most insightful thing for you. There was one really nice comment. Thank you so much for all this. You are brilliant and so compassionate. I agree. That's why we got her on. Thanks, Liv. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
You're amazing. Read the comments. you know, and as Olivia said, like, there is so much she can talk about. And when we met, and when I just instantly I knew when the passion in her eyes when she was like, I love the topic of chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm passionate about it, and like, tell me what you do. And you know, so super thankful to have you on board. You know, we're lucky all our online members obviously get access to you as well on a monthly basis. To go deeper into all these things. But we wanted to get on together tonight for all of you guys who, you know, who might be just struggling through this bit of a hell of a time at the moment, you know, a fairly fearful time. So it's really nice to kind of just get some general based knowledge under your belt, so to speak, and implement it. One thing I'm just going to add, and I'm mindful of your time. So, you know, maybe like 15 more minutes of time here and then we're done. So, you know, just hold on, because we're going to kind of recap a few things, and then I'm going to get you to ask some specific questions, which we might all come together later down the track and answer them for you in a recorded video for you guys. To back up what Dr. Olivia just said about the grounding, and then, you know, if you ever have watched Gemma Hanley's videos online, she's always outside, outdoors, kind of, you know, grounding herself naturally because she loves it so much. But there's two things there, like the research behind it, yeah, the grounding itself, the scientific side of it, but just being out in nature, being outside is healing. And you can remind yourself from now on, because you know that when you're outside in the sun, hopefully, even if it's cloudy like it was today for me, I still went out and I felt a lot better outside. I felt more energized, more grounded, more calm just by being outside, seeing green trees, feeling the warmth on my skin, even though it was kind of cloudy. So these are such brilliant reminders. Really, really good. Thank you. Now to recap, there's just so much information. Like I said before, we'll send you guys a recording of this tonight. But I just want to recap on some really simple things. Stuff that we go over, and I was thinking about it this morning as I was kind of laying on the ground. Oh, there you go. Liv's just commented, guys. She's just commented an article for you guys to click on and download there. Thanks for that. That's cool. So I wanted to kind of, as I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking, what's one of the most important reminders we all need right now? And I'm not one to write notes. I'm very spontaneous. Most of you guys have been on a webinar with me. It kind of just rolls intuitively. But one thing I wrote here that really stood out for me as I was doing it for myself today was we need to down-regulate to upregulate. And what I mean by that is in this time when the stress is high, we need to down-regulate first. We need to give ourselves permission to rest. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with resting. And what I'm finding within myself over the last week, and everyone who I know, even though we're at home, we're not really resting. Yeah? We're kind of just like on our phones, we're stressed out, we're talking about the world's problems, and we're not really relaxing, and we're not really rejuvenating and recharging. And so I just wanted to remind you guys of, you know, right now, the focus needs to be on down-regulating to up-regulate. What I mean by upregulate, so, oh, sorry, I'm not on main video. Upregulate, here we go. There you go, I'm back. Upregulate in the context of so you can have the energy to do things, so you can have the energy to do your restorative movement, your progressive exercise, you know, whatever you need to do for yourself on an energetic basis. But to have the good energy and the grounded energy to do that, I think it's just really beautiful to be reminded to down-regulate first. You can do that from what Dr. Olivia spoke about. You can do that from what Gemma spoke about. You know, is it serving me or is it limiting me? It's just really important. So I just wanted that reminder. Rest is totally okay. You know, give yourself that permission that rest is totally okay. And in fact, it should be mandatory to recharge right now. Now, I'm not saying sleep all day. I'm not saying, don't do anything. I mean, the beautiful thing is you can rest outside. We can tick all the boxes, which is what the girls spoke about in the last 40 minutes, and also fully switch off. You know, the world's going to be fine. We can let just the world keep spinning by, and we can just do our thing for a little bit. And I really loved when Olivia just paused for a moment. Like, how nice was that? 30-second pause. Like, just, and you don't even realize it, but what we need to do from tonight is to take that in our day. It might not be as conscious, because we're giving you these reminders and cues right now, but see if you can write some notes here and schedule it in your diary. Like, okay, from tomorrow, I'm not going to look at my phone until I've gone outside, I've grounded, I've thought about Gemma, Toby and Dr. Olivia, thinking how great they are. I've reminded myself of some cool things. I've written down my gratitude list of what I'm grateful for. I've had my cup of tea and I've had my breakfast, and now I'll look at my phone. Just a little example, and just notice the difference. It's crazy. The energy and the groundness that you have from those small changes are huge. So give it a go and be curious about it. You have no excuse now. So I've just written here, scheduling rest time and play time without your phone. Rest doesn't mean you have to do nothing. It means you can actually do things that you're enjoying that actually makes you present. And so I just wanted to remind you, on top of all the seriousness, play. Like, find the thing that you love. We, as part of our mentorship program, we've just sent out an ISO pack to our members. And this is just something on top of what we normally do, to have something fun and creative to do that we normally wouldn't do, to use our right brain in a way and be expressive and creative, and also come together and connect. Now, I know, there are a few of you guys who are members, and, your packs are on your way, but a lot of you aren't in the program, but you can create this on your own. Like, you can go and get your art pack, go and connect with your friends, like, make that move. And if you don't have people to do it with, do it on your own. I've never done watercolor. I've given away the part of the pack is some watercolor things, and obviously I'm doing it myself. And I did it yesterday, and I was like, man, I wish I listened to my art teacher when I was in year 7, which I never went to, because I thought art was a waste of time. Now, art is the most beautiful and important thing in our lives right now. So I just want you that reminder, write it in your diary right now, write it in your notes. What are some things that I love to do that actually ground me, give me energy, and make me feel good? Okay? It's just a really important reminder. Guys, that's it. There's just so much information here. Again, a lot of this stuff sounds so simple, but when applied and applied regularly, changes happen. I've seen it in myself. I've seen it with thousands of people that I've worked with over the years. And this stuff works when you make it work. And I just hope that today's session is a really, really powerful reminder for you to take back control of your life and your health and your well-being and your mindset, and just do what works for you right now. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for Dr. Olivia and Gemma as well. Just amazing. There's so many comments, I can't keep up with it. Gina says, this has exceeded my expectations. Thank you for the webinar. Questions. Before I finish, there's 2 things I need to remind you of, because we're obviously over time, and a Q&A in this response probably wouldn't have been that smart in the context of time and your energy. So what I'm going to do is, if you have a really clear, specific question that's going to be really useful for you and useful for others, what I want you to do is I want you to send an email to info@cfshealth.com with the subject line question, and just comment your question in an email. What we'll do, we'll compile all the questions together. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of specific, thanks Gemma, there's going to be a lot of similar questions, and what we'll do, we'll come up with a way to answer them, or a fair few of them for you, depending on what the questions are and who will answer them. So that's going to be the most efficient way to do this, because I don't want everyone to miss out tonight if we just start up a quick 5-minute Q&A. Obviously, I mean, we can only help you so much within this hour. This is the most jam-packed hour I've ever been a part of, which is just incredible. So I'm actually glad that we do have a recording for everybody who has watched this, because I think it's just really important. Lynn says, tired now, but excited to try these things. Yeah, amazing. So cool. And also the last thing I wanted to leave you with is, if you're doing awesome and you're doing totally fine on your own, then that's awesome, keep going. If you're the other, which is you don't know what to do and you don't know how to get started, reach out to us at that email, info@cfshealth.com. We do have an online recovery program that we help people with every step of the way. Gemma Hanley is part of it as our resident mindset coach. Dr. Olivia is our medical consultant. So we work with you on a personalised basis. This is completely different to what we've ever done before. It's amazing. One of our members, Marge, is in here right now. And she's just noticed massive changes within herself over the last kind of 4 or 5 months. So if you're looking for that more accountable approach, if you want a place to be supported from other members, and have these weekly calls, but in a small, intimate way where you get personalised group coaching, send an email to info@cfshealth.com, and you can just ask about the program, and we'll send you some details on exactly how it works, exactly what's involved, and yeah, we'll send you the details, and we can talk about that further if that's something of interest of you. But like I said, so 2 things. Question, if you've got one, subject line question, make sure it's short and specific. Don't tell me a story this long, because I'm not going to read it, okay? We get them every single day. We've been on this webinar, we've had an amazing time, so give me a really precise question that will help you and also help other people. We'll do our best to answer every single one's questions. And second of all, reach out. This is a time where, you probably feel more isolated than ever. If your family members are at home, they're probably stepping on your toes and probably not understanding you even more than before. Yeah. So I have compassion for you. This is where boundaries come in. Gemma does a lot of work with all our members on boundaries, on how to set them, how to express them, and how to feel okay and good about it in the moment of doing that. Yeah. So there's, I think to finish off with, to round this up, is it's a holistic approach. And I don't want you to think that just one of these things that all of us have spoken about tonight is the answer, right? Because that's not the answer. You are the answer. These things are useful tools and strategies for you to apply in your life. And I just want you to remind yourself of that as you walk away, because I know you're probably feeling quite excited and you're probably feeling quite empowered. And I just want you to realize that, it's not that the grounding didn't work, or that, I tried that diet and it didn't work. It's not about that, yeah? Remind yourself it's you. You're the one that's making the changes. The changes aren't changing you. It's you making the changes for yourself. So just let that sit in. Remind yourself it's not just one thing that's going to be the answer, yeah? Because it's really exciting when, Liv talks and we go, damn, I just need to do it. That's it. I've been missing that one thing, and I'm going to do the 10 seconds and the 10 seconds on, the 10 seconds off. And then after a week, your mindset slips, or you stop doing the other things that are working for you, and then you beat yourself up, and then you go on that tangent, yeah? That's what we definitely suggest, is to get unstuck in that way. So I hope that really helps. Jenna, Brian, great to see you. Terry, good to see you on. Lynn's, Becky. Like I said, I cannot answer what do we got here? Helen, please turn off your, we don't need your viewing right now. I don't know what you've just done there. Helen, hi, can you please turn off your screen sharing? I don't know what you've done there. I can't see there. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate you being here and being present. And yeah, I just hope you got a lot from this. So like I said, if you do have a question, feel free to email it to us. We'll compile them and we'll get back to you as soon as we can in a video format, most likely. We'll send you an email with a recording tomorrow for everybody to re-watch it. And like I said, if you want to learn more about getting help specifically with us on a more personalized level, and we'll give you a framework and a plan moving forwards, then obviously reach out and we'll get Kim to send you some details. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Have a great rest of your day or evening. And yeah, it was just a really, really special evening. Thanks so much. Au revoir. Thanks, Louise. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.